So our next session today is about the two main types of First Lego League, are the two main types of robots that First Lego League teams will have the option of using this season. So the Ev3 Lego Mindstorm and the Spike Prime. Teams will have the option of also using older Lego robots, including the Lego Mindstorm NXT. But to talk about our robots today, I wanted to invite Jane Taylor, the Director of Education at First in Texas. Over the last 17 years, she has served as a coach, mentor, host, and cheerleader for First Robotics in Houston. She also has her master's in education and has been instrumental in creating professional robotics learning communities for the First Lego League and First Tech Challenge teams nationally. And then our other presenter is Joe Vernell, the first senior mentor for the North Texas region. Joe has been a volunteer with First for 11 years and working with FLL for 10 of those. In North Texas, he has served as a coach, mentor, referee, and is the regional head referee, and as the regional head referee for North Texas. He is no longer. He gladly moved on from that, but he still answers all my questions. And in his day job, he is an engineer at Lockheed Martin. So I think we wanted to start with you, Joe, about the Ev3 Lego Mindstorm. So can you give us a little bit of background about what the robot is and what it looks like, what pros and cons of it?
Okay, the Ev3, it came out after the NXT. It's a big improvement. It's a little bit squarer than the NXT. It has the brick, which is the brain, has a computer processor in there just like people have on their desk, just looks different. You can hook up to it through USB or Bluetooth. We have 4 motor ports and 4 sensor ports. Currently, rules say up to 4 motors, so that works out. You should either buy, I suggest buying the education set with the resource set for Ev3. However, if you have an Ev3, get it secondhand or buy the off-the-shelf set, that works too. Education set just has a few more sensors and some different wheels. But in that, you get sensors like the distance sensor, light sensor, a gyro, which really just tells which way the robot's pointing. You get a couple of large motors and a medium motor, which I don't have on here. Its primary language is called Ev3. It's a block programming language. It's very easy to learn. It's drag and drop. One good thing, really good thing about Ev3 is it's been around a while. If you go to Google and type in Ev3 programming or FLL Ev3 programming or FLL Ev3 robot chassis, you'll find all sorts of tutorials on it, how to use it, how to do it. Also, the Ev3 comes with, you have to use just standard batteries. However, you can purchase a separate battery. I believe the education set comes with a rechargeable battery that you plug in. Some of the really good things about this over the Spike Prime is you have different length wires that plug into the motors and the sensors. Currently, it has more sensors. It has more buttons you can use for your programming. So you can use these buttons to make your robot perform differently. It has a high resolution display where you can put words on it. And recently they've come out with a lot of languages this is a little bit for more advanced teams. They came out with languages like Python for Ev3, and it's really easy to use. All you need is like a little card and just short tutorial, and you're off doing Python. It has a lot more advanced features. I said it can use USB and Bluetooth. However, if you have a Wi-Fi dongle, You can use that. You can use Wi-Fi, hook it up to Wi-Fi. There's tutorials on that. And it's based, if any of y'all know this, it's based on a Linux operating system. So, and that's out commercially used. It's a widely used product. So, did I cover everything, Kelly?
Yeah, and we've had yes, that's a good rundown. And also, most of our coaches are encouraging people to, the education set does come with the rechargeable battery. And so that's always really good for, you don't have to change the batteries. And so not having to take apart the robot, because once you add on to the robot, then you don't want to have to.
We'll talk about that in the build session.
Yes, yes. Overall, how do you like the educator robot, the instructions to build the educator robot for the EV3?
There's an educator robot set of instructions that are really great. It comes up with a basic robot that you can add on to, but for kids who just say, I just don't know what to do, it's a really great starting set. I've seen teams come in with an educator robot and finish in like the top quarter even of the qualifier. And so the educator build is really good. And like I said, if you Google FLL chassis build, there's a lot of different tutorials on how to build different chassis.
That's great. So why don't we invite Jane to talk about the Spike Prime, and then we can compare and contrast the two and talk about different pros and cons. So thank you, Joe.
Hello. All right. So again, I'm Jane Taylor, and I'm from Houston, and I have actually been working in educational robotics with Lego for over 10 years. So I had the pleasure of being a part of a small group of educators who were able to influence some of the educational products that Lego would put out, from the Lego NXT, the Lego Mindstorm NXT, to the Lego Mindstorm EV3. And before we start talking about Spike Prime, I really want to talk about one of the strengths of First Lego League, and that's that both of these robots are very effective choices. Either robot will get the job done very effectively. However, one of the best features, I believe, of the Lego Spike Prime is that it's the easy startup. Whether it's the build that comes along with it, or just as a standard build, which can be completed in minutes. Typically with the EV3, it would take even a really good team of students building the robot educator that a good 45 minutes. Whereas I saw, and I usually, working with adults. So if adults can do it in 20 minutes, the kids can definitely successfully build some of the base robot designs that they have for the Lego, that they have specifically for First Lego League, and that comes with your Spike Prime once you register as a team. And this is software. Actually, you can access it just through your app, through the Spike Prime app will allow you to see some of the great features for First Lego League, like this easy build. The other thing to note about it is that it really is a different robot. So if you have already been using the EV3 for years, this is an additional new robot line for you. So while there are features that are shareable between the two platforms, this is a completely different building system altogether, which is where I would like to start. And I get really excited about, because it is easy out of the box building and out of the box coding. It's very native to sort of this new learning environment where it's a device friendly, where you can put it on an Android or 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 your iPad, or even a Chromebook, wherever you need. You can run an app. So it has that sort of flexibility. But some of the features that I really like that make it a great robot to start or for an experienced team with First Lego League is Scratch 3.0. I just think that is I'm a computer, so I've been in robotics for First Robotics for over 20 years, but I am a fan of the coding. I love the First Lego League for computer science and just the computational thinking that you can teach. And when as a classroom teacher, I came out of the classroom before I, was able to serve in more of a supporting role. But even now, I just really like when it aligns with your learning objectives and makes it easy for you to teach students really life learning sort of things in math and science. So Scratch 3.0 gives you the ability to get the robot running really quick, and it gives you a language that translates well into industry languages and also to the languages that they learn in our first pipeline. So you can go from Scratch 3.0 right into something like Blockly, which is used at the next level in First Tech Challenge. Some of the other features that I really like, if you're trying to make the decision of which robot, or adding this robot to your collection of robots, because when I was a robotics teacher, I had both. When we went from, I'm old school, y'all. Okay, I'm from Lego RCX, so that was my first competitive robot. So in going from Lego RCX to NXT, I kept both robots in my classroom. Going from NXT to EV3, both robots. And if I was in a classroom now, it wouldn't be either or. It would be, okay, how do I bring this into my program, but not at all change the use of my EV3 portion of my program. But one of my other things, like I said, is the motor extensions. The programmability of the motors, instead of having to use wires and hubs and my blocks and all of this stuff. No, they do just turn this feature on, and then they have this amazing ability to do some higher level coding. The hub itself, the brain itself, is a sensor in the sense that it is very intelligent and has a gyro in it. It knows if it's falling over, if it's standing up, and that just really, to me, is just a cool feature. The force sensor instead of the touch sensor. Ooh, I'm a science teacher, y'all. I am a science teacher, so I get excited about that. And so being able to actually say how much, react to this much of the press or this amount of force in newtons, science teachers out there in the world of first who's at this conference. So just really, really great opportunity to really, and they named it force sensor. So they set you up for success on that. The larger frame, having that more boxy shape to build around. The motors are boxy, the sensors boxy, so good geometry in those boxes. All right, and but okay, down to my last feature. There are, the EV3 does have 8 ports on them, 4 of them input, 4 of them output. Yes, it would appear to you that because the Spike Prime only has 6, that some sort of space has been lost. But no, you have to remember, first off, the gyro is in the hub. So it has that sort of intelligence. But those are in and out ports. So really you can have 6, you can have 5 motors in a sensor. You can, they work, equally. You can put that in. It's really great when you get, hopefully you'll be staying around for the coding where I'll talk about how yummy that is, and that how smart the brain, the hub itself, when it's plugged in, when it's not plugged, it really does a great job of communicating with you about those inputs and outputs, and makes it really great for your students to learn a lot of good science about their sensors. So for me, I really like it because it does make it easier, but you can go deeper because they can build quicker. They can learn, have some successful code in front of them quicker. The lessons are great. Like I said, the First Lego League and First Education work together to create this amazing space of resources for us, both the electronic and in the resources that you get when you register. And yeah, so that is my list. So Kelly, that's actually all I have.
Yes. So if Joe wants to come back on as well, we do have some questions. So someone was asking, are they phasing out EV3 in favor of Spike Prime?
No.
No. Yeah.
In fact, you can still use the RCX in theory. If
Right.
actually, I still have one, but you can use those back to. So no, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, and this is a matter of news, there is actually going to be a Lego Mindstorm coming out. And if you look at it very closely, they're going to be extending the Mindstorm brand to include a new robot. And if you look very closely, it's just a new colored Spike Prime, but not true. That's what it looks like at the eye set. But if you're a real Lego robot fan, then you'll see that they also in this new version of Mindstorm mixed with Prime are going to give us something really exciting on the retail side. So that's not an education side, that's a retail side. But no, they are encouraging the support of both robots. And like I said, to me, it's both, not even which one.
Nice. So we have Devin asking, okay, so for a new coach to a younger team, which would you recommend? The EV3 or the Spike Prime if they're buying a brand new robot for a younger team?
Spike for me.
Yeah, if they don't have EV3s right there, probably Spike, or most likely Spike. If they already have a bunch of EV3s and limited budget, then go with the EV3s.
Right. And I say Spike because of this, like I said, these common space resources that First Lego League and First Lego League and Lego Education have created. When you open up your Spike app, there is actually a First Lego League space where it recommends the robot. It has when you receive your resources for First Lego League, it actually has direct lessons referenced from the Spike app and from the Spike software. So if I was a new team and I didn't know where to go, I would pick up my book and go page for page, because it's going to lead you to the lessons, and then it's going to bring you back. And it's a very common language. It definitely, you all will see this, and I'm speaking from being able to see the new resources. Oh, you're gonna love this, where you can actually, as a brand new coach, just kind of tiptoe through something I never dreamed that I could
tiptoe through the robots.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's not the truth for the EV3, but they did a great job, in my opinion, for new coaches, like everybody said from the first session. In the last year's book, they did give you a walk path through EV3. Not as deep as you would probably want, but you can make it through.
So Ruth Ann was asking, can you program with Spike with Scratch on the EV3?
Yes, you can. You can use Scratch. However, not the Scratch that Prime has. It's slightly different. Mm-hmm. It's equipped. It's not. Spike Prime Scratch is made for Spike Prime. EV3 Scratch is general Scratch. Placed onto EV3. So it's kind of an aftermarket product.
Right. So Spike Prime, that the Scratch 3.0 is playing as a native language for Spike Prime, just as X3 plays as a native language for EV3. These are languages that Lego put with their robot. But because these robots are Linux-based, well, the EV3 is Linux-based, you are able to, yes, use Scratch, and I think that's the 2.0 version that comes with that. And then Python is the newest one, which, once again, is really kind of third-party, but they're becoming more stable.
I'll go ahead and say this about Python. That Lego put in Python just for EV3, or put in Python extensions for EV3. And I've dug into Spike, and if you hook up to it in the right way, you can see that it's putting out Python, and you can program in Python on the Spike, but it's not as easy.
Yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do it line by line, but not, you can't save files yet. I'm sure it'll be there next year.
I was going to say, all the nerds of the world, continue to work. We love you. And when you work hard and dig deeper, then we can see and produce these great options, because in First Lego League, we have from the beginner to kids who really yummy, that type of stuff. They want that sort of challenge. Our kids want challenge. So I love the idea of any open sourced device they can get their hands on. So like we said, if you're brand new, Spike, it's the investment. Yep, a little bit more expensive, but worth every penny. Okay, in my opinion, if it's your first year through.
Mm-hmm. So I know we're going to actually talk about programming in our next session, but just base level, which programming style is easier? Is there for either Spike Prime or EV3, or should we wait for the next session that you're going to be talking about as well, Jane?
I would like to hear what Joe has to say, since he won't be a part of that session. He'll use the time to give his opinion.
I am a software engineer, so I've used all sorts of languages. EV3 is based on a graphical language we use at Lockheed Martin called LabVIEW. It's made simpler for the Spike Prime because you don't need all the power of LabVIEW, but it's the same drag and drop. Jane said that Spike, she can get people going like in 5 minutes. Well, I can get people going on the EV3 in about 5 minutes. So they're both really easy. Scratch does have more, is closer to what you kind of see in industry, where you say if then else, and it's more closer to text-based languages like Python or Java, which you'll be using in FTC, Java or blocks. So it's, I like them both. I have no problem with both.
Yeah. I think I agree with you completely for the same reasons. Just when you look at what they will run into in industry or in this first pipeline, that the prime language, the Scratch 3.0 does align with that. And I love it's closer with the if else, if then statements, all of those kind of allow you to teach the logic. So like I said, with that language, for me, it's about, okay, can I get something that's working in front of them, and then drill down and have them understand what this really means. And I'll talk more about that in the next session, from pseudocoding to just these sort of computational thinking things. So the answer's in front of you quicker. You can go there. Versus with EV3, the answer doesn't get there. The right answer as far as getting your robot to do exactly what you want to do may not get quicker. Well, I'm speaking from a student's perspective versus an adult perspective. They tend to troubleshoot a lot more. So for me, I like that. I like them having a bunch of trouble. I want them stressed out with problem solving. So I find that they get to tinker differently with the code and really come up with some pretty clever ways of understanding. So like I said, it's a complexity thing. For me, I feel comfortable with coding. So I'm going to go for EV3 because I can push them through those troubleshooting moments. Whereas if you don't understand how to create a function in a C-based language, then just grab the Spike and just teach them that the top is a cat. Put the hat on, stack them up, and then close. Go with the Scratch and have fun with it, and don't stress yourself out because coding isn't your thing. Anyway, so.
Yes. Don't stress about the coding. My background is not in anything technical. I studied archaeology and I picked up coding, programming in EV3 in a weekend. It's not intimidating. There's so many resources online that I encourage you to not be afraid and just go for it. It's a lot of fun. And if you can just guide the kids to the resources, I've discovered that they can take it from there and they can figure out what they're interested in and move forward. I have a question about the Spike Prime wheels. So I was talking to, I think, Joe and a couple other volunteers, and you all were really excited about the wheels. Can you go into a little detail, like why you were excited about the wheels and what you think they might offer compared to the other Lego wheels on the market?
Me or Jane?
You,
Oh,
You.
for
yeah.
now.
I don't know. Well, first of all, it's very colorful. I like that, but also I'm not sure. I just like the wheels. They seem they're similar to the larger wheels on for EV3. Well, that come with I think the education bot on EV3, but they're more sturdy. They're more solid. Uh, I don't know. I just liked them. Well, when I was playing, I found I liked them.
They also kind of remind me, even though they are not omnidirectional wheels, they have a different slide to them than we could get off of the thick rubber kind of. They're not, for lack of a better word, I'm gonna say treaded. Yeah, like this friction based, like that you would give you kind of these hard stops. Whereas this robot is so much lighter than that robot, so it has this cool sort of slide and that sort of square feel, and where they're placed, it just it has like this really cool gliding turning thing that happens to work versus your EV3 going, so
That's because the EV3 there's more rubber on the ground cross section,
right.
And the spike, these are slightly rounded, and so it's more of a point turn. It's more
show the back wheel for the spike, for the spike that you're holding.
What?
The back,
casters.
Yeah, the casters. They're also not metal. They're plastic. They're like this really, really hard plastic. So those of you who are concerned about that $40 metal piece that comes on the EV3, it is duplicated here, but in a different material.
Okay, I lost my metal casters, and I went to Ace Hardware and found ball bearings, and so that works too.
As a Lego person, I do not.
I do
not recommend that.
I didn't use them in competition because I can't compete. Darn it.
Yeah, it's got to be in any Lego piece is legal.
Yep.
But it has to be an official Lego piece because this is a system building challenge, meaning you are the Lego system to make these amazing engineering solutions. So be very thoughtful of that. But as we are here in this world of virtual learning and having to figure out how to connect with our students, don't be afraid to think about the problem, and maybe with their hand holding in their hand may not be Lego, but always keep the system building as the key component to the solutions, because we want to remember that is what we're challenging ourselves to do, is use this particular system.
There was a question in one of the chats that said, is Spike Prime wheels smooth? They're kind of smooth but rounded, but they're very rubbery. So the question was something about climbing over obstacles. They're rubbery, and so they grip. The bridge from last year, they grip very well on that. I was playing with that. And so I haven't had any trouble with any kind of slippage. In fact, it seemed like the EV3 wheels, because there's more cross section or something. I think the spike wheels were slightly better on traction, but I didn't do a in-depth test or scientific thing. That was more of a
observation. Didn't get to see a lot of them in the game last year, but hopefully we'll see some this year, be it remote or in person. I look forward to what the kids do with it.
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Well, I want to thank you both for giving your insight on the EV3 and the Spike Prime. I really appreciate it. So thank you for showing off your very cool robots.